Good morning, Bix Weir, roto.com. Good morning, one of these. Sip of coffee. Oh, back in the saddle. Um, good day to get back. I've been saying a long time. This repo crisis is not even close to over. They're hiding it. I've showed how they hide it at the FICC, which is a division of the DTCC. Problem never ended in December. And now, being February 4th, which is the first day of the relaxing of the repo, and I'll say that in a second, which is sort of ridiculous. Um, Banks are going crazy. The last few repos have been right on the number 30 million, 30 million, 30 million on the term repos, as if all the banks gave exactly what the cap would be, which is ridiculous. They don't talk about it, they fudge the numbers. But today they didn't fudge because of this. So wait, let me right here. Here's the schedule. This is the schedule for the overnight repos. This is a monthly schedule. Now, this all started in September as if this is normal. Oh, let's put out a monthly schedule. The next monthly schedule is going to come up in next week on Thursday, 2/13/2020. It could be a big mother of a jump. They began to taper the repos. Look at the repo taper. So the January 16th, these are the term repos, so 14 days. They've pretty much gotten rid of the longer ones. There was one expiring today, so they knew they had to put something. It was 32 point something. I'll show you that in a second. One's expiring today, so they had to say, okay, we're going to give some repo, but we have to tell the world we're tapering. So they went 35, 35, 35, 35, 35. Today was the first day of the 30. Now remember, all these 35s, it came in right below, right at 35 or right below 35. But today, bang, bang, bang. Look at the repo today. The bottom one here is the one they did this morning at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Coast time. February 18th, the repo, or that's the maturity date, is February 18th, so it's a 14-day repo. They were only saying, hey, we're only going to do 30, but look what was submitted. 59 billion. 59. Almost double. I think that's the biggest since day one of September. I'll get back to these numbers. And this one blew out the charts too, 64.54 tonight. I will show you in a second exactly how much they need, and it's insane to stay in business tonight. Zero hedge. Liquidity panic. Term repo most oversubscribed since start of repo crisis as Fed injects $94.5 billion. That's kind of true. Let me show you the repo chart now. This is the private road stuff that I give you guys every day on private road members and on Patreon. So you guys can follow this every day. Here's what happened really. On 2/4, we got 64.5 billion on the overnight. Yesterday's was 66, but they didn't have a term. So it might look like there's 64.5 because here's the term repo of 30 billion. But back on January 21st, they did a term repo that matured and a huge overnight repo so they need this money. They need this money so badly. 32.2 billion that would mature today on the second, which it did. So I subtracted the 32.2 and added the 30. But remember, they needed 59. I would expect to see a big reverse repo later today. I add those in as they come. So yeah, let's go over what Zero Hedge said. Update, confirming that liquidity is indeed scarce to start the month of February. Moments ago, the Fed also conducted overnight repo, which saw 64.5 billion in liquidity injected. There it is. You guys can follow along on the private road or on Patreon. I update it every day that the Fed is open. Sometimes later in the day, depending. And then I revise the numbers a little bit. I kind of know ahead of time what the parameters are, so I'll put in my projected, and then I'll get the exact numbers later in the day when they announce the POMOs, the permanent operation. And very interesting is that the FICC bids, which is a stealth way for JP Morgan to pretend Well, they are. I mean, theoretically, the FICC is guaranteeing a huge chunk of not even what's reported here. That's where they're hiding it. And the FICC has no money. The FICC is supposedly a clearinghouse that's owned by the DTCC, where all this fraud is happening. Standalone entity, not owned by anybody. But they don't have assets. They just hold other people's assets. So how are they going into the repo market? So I have added that on the Road to Ruta analysis. If you go in there, and right here, FICC loan guarantees. Now they only update it once a month, but look at the last month. Look at December. January. Because it was the end of the month. $278 billion needs to be added to the repo totals. Hey, I am fair when it comes to repo totals. Because the Fed keeps saying, no, this isn't a bailout, because they pay it back the next day. That is true. They do pay it back. And when they pay back the repos, I don't count those. But the FICC guarantees, that is a banker bailout. Absolutely 100%. They will change. Watch. These will nothing but increase. And what does it do? It keeps JP Morgan, the risk off JP Morgan by having the FICC guarantee. But the FICC has no money, so what does a FICC guarantee do at all? It shifts the blame to the DTCC. Because the FICC is owned by the DTCC, who's owned by nobody. Although it is influenced by the Federal Reserve. It is owned by somebody. Actually, a single person, from what the reports say. But that is under the name of Seed and Company. Go to roadtoruta.com, look up Seed and Company, look up DTCC, and you'll find all kinds of conspiracies. Yes, it was Michael Dunn of the DTCC that left the vault door open at 55 Water Street during Hurricane Sandy that flooded $33 trillion worth of assets, mainly newly repositioned silver and gold swap contracts, paper swap contracts into that vault. I remember an article I wrote years ago called "How Deep Is the Con at the DTCC?" The FICC is a division of the DTCC. I am going to add, and everybody should add, all the FICC guarantees that they do for the banks. And I have the website where the U.S. government tracks who it is that's getting the FICC guarantees. Remember, the FICC has no money. So no, JP Morgan should not be able to claim that they are not part of the repo market either. That guarantee is only as good as the assets that back it up. And there are no assets there. The FICC going in to borrow on the repo market is a joke. It's a bailout. And that's going to change. That's what the Fed wants to do. It wants to take the burden off their shoulders. See, one of the big problems this whole thing is nobody trusts the second party at the banks because they know the banks are in deep trouble. Deep trouble. The other problem is nobody trusts the assets that are being put up as collateral because the DTCC hasn't done their job and they're all being rehypothecated, as in 2 or 3 owners of treasury notes, of the same treasury note. Yeah, so anyway, I'm staying on top of it with private road members and Patreon members at Road to Ruta. Oh, by the way, Road to Ruta people, if you ever see a Twitter account like this, that's not me. My Twitter accounts, this is my Twitter account. It says Bix Weir at Road to Ruta, no spaces, no dashes. If I ever ask you for your cryptos, to make more cryptos, you know it's a fraud. Come on, people. We've talked about this so many times. There's so many fake accounts out there. So this account right here with the Bix_Weir, this is a criminal. They are contacting people on Twitter. I don't even contact people on Twitter, by the way. Don't fall for anybody. If it's Bitcoin Ben has all these fake accounts too. If anybody asks you for your cryptos, anybody asks you for your cryptos, don't give it to them. I don't care who it is. You better be triply sure of what's going on. And if it sounds too good to be true in cryptos, it is. If I contact you and say, hey, give me 1 Litecoin, I'll give you a 17 Bitcoin. You know it's a fraud, people. You know it's a fraud. So I keep petitioning to Twitter to remove these, but they don't. And once they do, a new one pops up. It is dog eat dog. Just like taking responsibility for your own assets in your own possession, don't have any of your cryptos on Coinbase or Kraken or any of the exchanges. Only in your own possession. How can you tell if you're in your own possession? If you have the private key. That's it. That's the only way you can tell. If you have your own private key or have a way to get your private key and you're the only one who can get it, you own your crypto. If you don't, somebody else has to stay in business for you to keep your cryptos. Just remember that. All right, let's go back to I haven't even started today. Let's go back to the article. All right, so they're counting the 64 billion, which is huge. It's true, but it was 66 yesterday. Which together with the massively oversubscribed 30 billion term repo discussed below means the Fed has injected 94.45 billion in today's market liquidity needs. After several relatively uneventful reverse repos to close off the month of January, which saw a gradual decline in submission, February has started off with a bang. Even ahead of the results of today's reverse repo, some traders were already closely watching to see how it would play out for one main reason. As we reported on January 14th, this was the first tapered reverse repo, whose aggregate operation limit was shrunk by a modest 35 billion to, it should say 30, they say 35 billion to 30 billion, right here. And as soon as it went down 5 billion, everybody rushed in. Give me a break. It's all a fucking con. The bids, the ask, everything is a con. Behind the scenes, they're printing money like you wouldn't believe. It's free money. And China has started to do it. India has started to at least announce it. They've always been doing it. Money is the problem. Unbacked fiat money that is created out of thin air. If you give someone the power to create that money, they're going to create it and create it and create it and destroy it. If you give them the power to control the price of commodities, you can hide it for 50 years, like Alan Greenspan did. Anyway, there were also some questions why the repo would be tapered by only 5 billion when the Fed repeatedly said the liquidity injection via repo were just a temporary operation, one which ostensibly should have ended as soon as September Repocalypse, and yet which is to this day continues to be an integral part of the Fed sheet rebuild. We got the answer moments ago when the Fed announced that while the operation went off without a glitch, the demand for Fed liquidity was simply unprecedented, with 59 billion in securities submitted for the downsized 30 billion in term repos maturing in February 18th. As such, the nearly 2x submitted to accept ratio made today's repo the most oversubscribed since the first term repo issued in the depth of the September repo crisis, which saw 62 billion in submissions for $30 billion in liquidity. What does this tell me? They're going to increase. They are going to increase in the next, 10 days is the next time they announce they're going to increase the amount they're giving out. But they might do it stealthily through the FICC. I will be monitoring that. FICC numbers for January come out on February 15th. That's their plan. If you guys want to know their secret plan, it's not that they got the system under control. It's to transfer all the risk to the FICC instead of showing what the Fed is doing. And the FICC does not, that those numbers aren't broken out. At least I don't think so. If anybody knows where I can find the FICC numbers that are broken out daily, that would help a lot. But right now they only release the numbers monthly, and it's 15 days after the end of the month. And it's not them releasing it. It's the U.S. government. Not the FICC, which is FICC part of the DTCC, that shadowy deep state criminal bankster operation. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a shell game Ponzi scheme. That's the only way to describe it. Bart Chilton calls it Ponzimodium. Anyway, ominously, the massive demand for repo today means the liquidity crisis that continues to percolate just below the surface of the market and has clogged up the critical plumbing within the U.S. financial system is getting worse, not better. And today's massive oversubscription indicates that one or more entities continues to face a dire shortage of reserves, i.e. cash. As to what they are doing with the cash, one look at Tesla this morning may provide an answer. Yeah, Tesla's having a short squeeze. Don't play the game. I tell people all the time, you can't play their game. Don't short the markets. Don't go long in gold and silver thinking that the silver good guys are going to destroy the bad guys. Whoever controls the mouse controls the price at all times. Yes, the bad guys are going to go away. Yes, the latest Ted Butler information is outstanding. They are down like almost $6 billion in losses. The top 7 traders. $6 billion in losses. That doesn't go over well. They got to close it out either by selling, slamming the price down to cover. But that's the problem. Every time they slam the price down to cover, people are gobbling it up. They are screwed. They are trapped. It's not going to end pretty. It will end in it won't end in a moonshot. It will end in a force majeure. The comic shuts down. And like the Dick Allgaier information on what's going on with the dollar, at some point the plumbing will freeze up and all the computers will crash against each other. You just won't be able to open up. Get ready for it. It's going to be ugly. Hey, if you're looking at the news, it's all about the insanity is going on everywhere. Yes, the repo crisis is huge, but you also have the Democratic National Committee is purposefully throwing wrenches into the system so that come the time of when they pick the real candidate to run against Trump, there's going to be mass chaos. They get to pick their own because there's so much confusion. They did the confusion. The Bernie people right now should leave the Democratic Party and start its own party. Now, people say, Bix, why do you support Bernie? I don't necessarily support Bernie. Here's what I support. I know the system's going to be gone. The system's going to crash, and socialism, capitalism, any of the isms are not going to matter at that point in time. We're going to have to reallocate money in some way. Bernie and Trump together would be a good team. That's what I had posted back in when we didn't think Trump was going to win. Because it covers both sides of the spectrum, and neither of them are part of the deep state. It might be that the good guys have a plan in mind for having Bernie in position after the system crashes. You know the system crashes, whoever's the Democratic leader is going to win. That's all Trump is touting right now, what a great market he had made and a great economy. And we all know it's a fraud. So hopefully we can have someone good that we don't even know about right now. But if the system has already crashed, would Bernie's ideas be good? Remember, we're going to have free money to allocate anywhere. All debt will be gone. Just keep that in mind. And it doesn't necessarily have to be socialism. It can be a reboot of capitalism. We haven't had capitalism in this country since, I don't even know when, before 1913. This is not capitalism we are living in. It's a fraud of market manipulation, coercion, military force. All of it creates this crazy world we live in. And that's going away. And what do we want to be like? How are we going to allocate money to the masses in the United States? What will we be using as money? All these questions are in the Road to Ruta documents at the Fed. Go check it out. Not only is there chaos in the elections, there's chaos with the coronavirus. They're saying, it could be more viruses. Is it a pandemic? Is it not a pandemic? Right now, it looks like there's more talk of chaos than the actual, not as many people die from this coronavirus. I'm not saying it's good. It's very virulent. It's a virus that spreads very fast to people. The death rate, I think, is less than influenza. But at the same time, it ain't a good thing. But the market hype, I think, is they're going to use it to say, force majeure because of the coronavirus. We got to shut down the market. Markets are broken anyway. So keep an eye on that. Who knows how that's going to all sort itself out. Anyway, this is Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. You want to keep up with the latest, hit subscribe today. Yo, give me a thumbs up. I always forget to ask for a thumbs up. And subscribe. I know a lot of people that have subscribed that have been kicked off by YouTube. YouTube is horrific to the Road to Ruta. Just hit subscribe again. That's all we can do. But give me a thumbs up and send this to your friends. Because they need to know about the repo, what's going on. It's very important. If you want to stay abreast of it, go to roadtoruta.com, join the private road, hit subscribe today, and you'll get a Very token, which could fix this problem at the DTC and the FICC by peer-to-peer capital transactions. They can't rehypothecate a Very token. when the system gets implemented. And a silver coin, the coolest coin. You can't buy this on the street unless you buy it from someone who is a Road to Ruta member. It is the Ruta coin right here with the Cave of Gold, the Silver Brick Road, individually numbered and double stamped. Really cool coin. Come check it out. Bix Weir, I'll talk to you guys later.